The Realtrac Performance ERP 10.7 update. The most obvious improvement within the Realtrac Client 10.7 release is our newly designed invoicing system. It's designed to be as simple as invoicing in our previous system, but has been rewritten from the ground up to better support more complex invoicing and shipping situations. Our new invoicing system makes it very easy to ship units from different jobs or from inventory with a few clicks of the button. The new invoicing functionality is important enough that it merits its own video, which we'd encourage you to watch. Please check it out in our Learning Center when you have an opportunity. But let's create an invoice really quickly to show off our new functionality. Here I am looking at a job and I wish to create an invoice. I'll pop over to my Invoice tab and click the New Invoice button. My new invoice is created, and based on the shipping schedule for my job, a line is automatically populated in the invoice showing what I'm expecting to ship. Right here, 4 units. Of course, we can adjust our shipment up or down, but I'm going to leave it as shipping just the 4. You'll notice we have 2 new tabs in the interface labeled Ship Orders Selection and Inventory Selection. If I want to add additional lines to the invoice, this is how I can choose whatever else I wish to add to my invoice. When I click on the Ship Orders Selection tab, I am presented with all the outstanding ship orders for the customer I am currently invoicing. I can simply click on a ship order from another job, adjust the number of units I am going to ship, and I've added another line to my invoice. Similarly, if I wanted to ship some material direct from my inventory, I would click on the Inventory Selection tab, use my built-in search functionality to find what I'm looking for, then click on the item, which will add it to my invoice, and I can adjust my quantities as desired. Lastly, we have added the ability for users to directly add lines to the invoice. While we don't recommend this practice for items you manufacture or have in inventory, if you wish to add a simple fee such as a rush charge to an invoice, this is a great way to accomplish your goal. Keep in mind that since this line was entered willy-nilly, we have no way of knowing what material, if any, went into the items, and we will not be able to track these items as we can for other items within the Realtrac system. We now have a 4-line invoice. Our first line is for the units I am producing for this job. The second line is for some finished goods we finished for this customer in another job. Our third line is for items we've shipping from inventory, and our final line is our willy-nilly line that our user has hand-typed in. If we're ready to ship, we've added a Commit Inventory button to our interface. When you commit the inventory, you will be asked which units you are pulling from your stock in order to satisfy the shipment. Picking the specific units means Realtrac has total control over which units are going to your customers, which employees worked on those pieces, what material went into them, we can create RMAs for the returns, etc. Once you've committed your inventory, you're ready to print your packing list. Realtrac users have always had the option to control what information printed on the resulting invoice and packing list reports. But please note that the print option controls now also control what information is passed to third-party accounting programs. So, for example, if you choose to include the job number and reference number on your printed report, we will also create that information on the resulting QuickBooks or Sage 50 invoice. Based on a customer request, we've also added a feature where a user can right-click on the exported control in the upper right and tell Realtrac to deny export. This means that the user doesn't wish to post this invoice to their accounting program until they have cleared this setting. To allow the invoice to be exported, simply right-click and choose Allow Export. As we print the invoice, you'll note we're missing our company logo. With the 10.7 update, we will be asking customers to customize their invoice and packing list reports again with their company logo. With the massive changes we've introduced, we are forced to make brand new reports to support all these great options. Please reach out to your sales representative or support technician if you need help, or check out our video in the Learning Center on how to customize your reports. Like our new invoicing interface, the new R&D system is big enough that it has its own video. So if this feature is of interest to you, please visit our Learning Center and watch the specific video. In 10.7, we've included a new feature that will help you capture R&D related costs for jobs, so that you may file a United States federal research and development tax claim and receive credit on your taxes. We're going to quickly touch on the changes this new feature has introduced. If we navigate to the System Setup group, then pop over to the Employee tab, you'll note we've added a base rate column. This is because when claiming labor expenses for your R&D tax credit, you may only claim the base, as in not the fully loaded, rate for your employee. If your employee is making $15 an hour, you could only claim the $15 in wages, not the $22.50 that employee may really be costing you when taxes, insurance, vacations, and the like are included. As a side note, it's important that the rate column does include these fully loaded costs. It's never a bad idea to review your values and make sure the values you're using are still accurate. If a user has a job that is eligible for an R&D tax credit, they will tag the job with the letters RD and the fiscal year it's associated with. So looking at this job, I'm going to tag it RD15, meaning I believe this job will be eligible for the R&D tax credit for my company's 2015 fiscal year. Also, on the bill page within a job, we've added a few new drop-down options to capture R&D related costs. For most of our users, we would recommend visiting the bill page for the job to review the expenses that have been incurred for that job. Then adding a new bill line showing how much of these expenses were related to R&D activity. Please note that these costs will not be added to the job. The only time these costs are used is when generating the reports related to the R&D tax credit. Come tax season, I can open the R&D job listing interface from my toolbox, limit the jobs to my RD15 tag, set the date range for my fiscal year, and then click the Calculate R&D column button. Clicking this button will set Realtrac off examining every work session that happened on the job during the fiscal year. We include 2 reports which should provide nearly everything your tax professional will require in order to submit the tax credit for your business. Another major new feature in 10.7 is a new role you can assign to employees. Again, we have a separate video that discusses this more in depth, so please visit our Learning Center for more information. We'll cover it quickly here right now. If we go into the System Setup group, then pop over to the Employee tab, you will note that when I click on an employee, we have a new role called Inspector. The Inspector role should be given to employees who are designated to check pieces as they complete stages of production. With this new role, when the user logs into an operation, they will be presented with a special menu asking the type of login they wish. We are calling these special logon types. The special logon types include first piece inspection. If the operation calls for an inspection of the first piece or pieces, then they should log on with this special type. Final piece inspection. If the operation calls for an inspection of some or all of the pieces as the operation is nearing completion, they should choose this type. In-process inspection, for when the operation calls for inspection while the production is being run. We also include the option of sort and receiving for special logon types. Finally, we always include the run or normal operation if the user is intending to log on as a normal run operation. Note that the inspector can log on to these special types for any sort of operation, be it a setup or fixture operation or a normal run operation. All costing reports for the job have been expanded to break these special logon types out from the other costs. So if Operation 10 for a job had an inspector log in and do a first piece inspection and a final piece inspection, the costing report will show 3 different lines for Operation 10. The time and costs associated with running the operation normally, the time and costs associated with the first piece inspection for Operation 10, and the time and costs associated with the final piece inspection for Operation 10. We've added a new feature to help users search for parts visually. If you know you made a gear last year but can't remember which customer you made it for, maybe you can find it by looking at it. If we click on the toolbox and go to the Part, Estimates, and Job group, you will notice there is a new tab titled Part Image Search. This screen will look at every part saved in the system and will display the primary image for that part. Just as a reminder, each part can have one primary image, either an image of the part itself or a drawing of the part. To change the primary image for a part, go to a job that has the part, and right-click on the image you wish to be primary and select Set as Primary Image. If you know some of the name of the part or wish to filter by a type, you can use our part search function. Or if you want to look at all the parts produced for a specific company, you can also filter by company. Once you click on a part, the interface will show you all the jobs and estimates associated with that specific part. From here, it's easy to duplicate either the estimate or job and create a new one, really speeding up the process of starting off a new job. Sequencing allows a user to manually schedule the order in which a work center should process the jobs and operations queued for that center. Typically, a Realtrac dispatch report for a work center will order the operations based on the priority number. In Realtrac, the priority number is the number of days ahead or behind schedule the job is. So automatically, jobs that are set to ship first are given priority. With Realtrac 10, we introduced the idea of an expedited job. When a user checks the Expedited Job button, all router operations will immediately jump ahead of other operations on the dispatch report, even for operations on jobs that are maybe due sooner than the job that we happen to be expediting. Sequencing allows for even a finer level of control. If we open a window and look at the queued operations for our SAW work center, we see 3 different operations currently queued. By default, they are ordered by priority, and we see 2 out of the 3 jobs are extremely overdue, thus, I want my employee to work on those first. But let's say I'm pushing this final job through, and I want it to end quicker. I'm going to give it a sequence number of 0, which will bump it to the top, over my 2 overdue jobs. I can now print out my dispatch report in this order, and tell my work center employees what order I wish them to work in. Note that Realtrac recommends using the Expedited Job feature unless you have a specific need for manual sequencing. In the example above, if we had expedited the job, it would have achieved the same result. When manually sequencing, you will have to follow a job to each work center in order to manually change the sequence order at every step, a very timely process. We've also included the ability to paste images directly from a clipboard into a job. Just as a simple example, I'll load an image into the Windows Paint utility and choose to make a copy of it. Now when I left-click on the file tray of our Realtrac job interface, the interface shows me the option to paste image. When we choose to paste the image, we are given the ability to crop the image to our liking, and we are prompted with the usual window asking us to tag and categorize the image properly. Simple as copy and paste. Also included in its latest release are new quote reports. The previous quote reports were limited to only 5 items per sheet of paper, meaning a quote for 6 or more items always generated a 2-page report. As I pop over here to an estimate, I'll head down to the Quote tab and choose the Reports button. You will note that there are now 2 new reports in our drop-down list titled Quote 2 Plain Paper and Quote 2 Window Envelope. When we run a quote report for 6 or more items, all those items will now appear on a single sheet of paper. Similar to the invoicing and packing list reports, if you wish to use these reports, you may need to customize them and add your logo and company information. Watch our Learning Center video on customizing reports for a guide on how to do this, or contact your Realtrac sales representative or technical support staff for more help. As a quick little improvement, when looking at both the router setup screen as well as the login screen for the shop floor, we have added a Sigma notification to the router line that creates inventory. Whenever piece counts are logged against this router operation, Realtrac will automatically create inventory for that piece. Just as a reminder, if there is 1 or more count operations on a router, Realtrac creates inventory based on the piece count of the last count operation. If the router doesn't have any count operations, then Realtrac creates inventory based on the piece count of the last router line. Understanding this concept is key to maintaining a healthy, accurate inventory of your finished goods. Hopefully this simple visual indicator helps our customers manage this key inventory step better. We have implemented a tag field for employees. You can add unlimited tags per employee and may wish to tag them by work centers they work in, buildings or locations they are in, departments they are organized in, and or supervisors they report to. These tags are used in two different ways. The shop floor interface can have a tag applied so only employees in that location will be shown on the screen. Say for example you have a shop floor client in a corner that has your saw and mill work centers. On that shop floor client, you may wish to show only the employees that are located in that area. To limit my shop floor interface within the system group, in the Client Settings tab, I add the tags I wish to filter by. Now when I load up my shop floor interface, you'll note I get a subset of the employees, only those assigned my saw or mill tags. The other location we use the employee tags is when running employee time reports. Instead of choosing a single employee or all employees, on the report selection screen you can now input a tag. Now you have the option of running the reports just for the employees with that tag. If your company uses 3-ring binders to store information about the job, we've produced a report that is intended to be the cover sheet or page for the binder. When looking at the job entry screen, click on the Reports button and choose the cover sheet report from the Utility section. This report will automatically pull down and center the primary image for the part being produced, along with outputting several bits of information about this job. We also include a vertical strip of job information if you wish to cut it off and feed it into the spine of the 3-ring binder. This report can be highly customized and can contain nearly any information you would want about the job, and its layout can be customized as needed. Lastly, we have been working hard on improving our documentation. If you navigate to the Realtrac PDF manual folder on your desktop or in your Start menu, you will notice we now have documentation for all of the reports included in Realtrac. Each PDF will show a sample of the report, a description of how to find and run the report, and a list of all the fields that are available to be shown on the report.